All right, welcome back for another episode of Hidden Gems. This is the video series where I talk about those books that still might be tucked away in those back issue boxes at your LCS. These aren't the hot 10 books, these aren't necessarily wall books. These are some hidden little treasures that might still be buried away in a box, either underpriced, undervalued, just things that a lot of people just aren't looking at that I find kind of interesting and think that you can still get for a decent price if you go out there looking. Again, I'm going to give you some market information as far as how much things are going for, how much others are asking for, and then you can make the call for yourself of whether you want to pick up any of these books for your own collection. Hopefully you're still enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know in the comments what you think. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. We've passed 1,900 subscribers, so I'm doing a giveaway tomorrow on Chasing Ghosts. Make sure you watch that video to get the details on how you can enter. I've decided that from here on out, members are automatically entered in all giveaways. So if you're a member, you don't have to bother taking the time to do whatever the criteria might be to enter a giveaway. You're automatically entered if you are a member to Rennavision. So keep that in mind for you current members. And if you guys are on the fence about thinking about joining, think about checking it out. Again, no pressure. It's only if you have the means and if you're interested in doing so, sign up and become a member for Rennavision. You get the little extras and extra contents that we have planned to come your way. Again, I'm not going to stop making any of the content I already make. It's all still going to be free to everybody as normal. I'm just going to try to do extras for those who want to do something extra to keep the channel going. That's really what the membership is, just to add a little bit of more fun stuff for me to have some assets to use to put back into the channel for things like giveaways and do some more merchandise, t-shirts and things like that. I'm hoping to get some hats made, but I got to get enough hats, enough people interested in hats to get it, a set made. Like, I think there's a minimum order, and right now, don't think I'm there yet, but we'll see. Rambling aside, if you want to see what books I have for you this week, including which artist I have to spotlight, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so as we do on this show every week, we are going to spotlight an artist in our quick artist retrospective. I used to do that full show where I really dug deep into an artist's like history, the books they've done, going from start to finish. But I don't have a lot of time to do that series. That one takes a lot of research to get into, but I do have enough time and I do love looking into artists' histories. So I do like doing this quick version here on Hidden Gems. And hopefully you guys are enjoying it because I like artists' firsts, like their first works, and just seeing some of the highlights of their careers and books that I think are great that people might not know about. And I love sharing this kind of stuff. So this week, I have an artist I don't think a lot of people talk about. I really like her. I think she's very talented, and I dig the style. I dig the manga anime style, but hopefully I don't butcher her name. Kamome Shirahama. I think I got that right. Right? Probably best known to most of us for doing probably about the first 11, I think first 11 out of first 13 issues of Afro, the first run of Afro. She did most of the cover work there. So again, she has a very distinctive style, very like Japanese manga anime influenced, and you'll see it in a lot of these works. She also was the character designer for The Elder, that one Star Wars Visions episode that probably my favorite. I really like this one with the old man, the old Sith, and they had a little fight. She did the character designs for that, as well as I think they did like a trade paperback or a novel or some sort of or a manga adaptation of this, and I believe she worked on that as well. But that's a pretty cool little side note of something else that she has done outside of comic work. And her first work was also outside of the traditional comic work. Again, coming from Japan, she did more of the magazine, like the manga style magazine. And first one that she did was in 2013. Harta #1, I think is how it gets translated out to here. This was like a restart of a different magazine over there. And again, it's like an anthology inside, almost like a Shonen Jump sort of thing, which is another book that we've covered here. But this is definitely more magazine style, not like a trade paperback graphic novel like the Shonen Jump is. But she had her first work inside this Harta #1. And I looked and I looked and I couldn't find any sales here or any available right now for this book. I probably have to somehow check Japanese eBay, but I don't know. The US eBay, I Couldn't find anything for this mag. So if you can luck into this, congratulations. You did some great digging. But otherwise, you're probably going to have to get this one from overseas, and hopefully you have a friend over in Japan who might be able to hook you up, because this one might not be that easy to track down. That said, where else might you have known her work? She's done quite a few Marvel incentive variants over the last few years, and some of them, have popped a little bit, and some of them have some increased value, while others may not. Some of the books you might have remembered her or not known that was her are this Howard the Duck #4, this 1 in 25. You got this Deadpool 1 in 25 over there for Deadpool 1, and this Punisher #7, which I think I covered on Chasing Ghosts like a while ago. I think when we did the Punisher covers, I think we did most of that run, and she did the 1 in 25 for #7 there as well. And again, you can see the style. It even has some variations with it. It's not all the same. If you look at the faces across the board here, there are different techniques and styles that she's using, and I'm always impressed by artists who can do that. I mean, not everybody can be Josh Middleton and can be like a chameleon and do like a number of different type of styles, but plenty of artists out there do have talents beyond what you might just know them for, as being maybe just like a one-trick pony kind of thing. But her style does still lean more towards that manga anime kind of vibe, and I do appreciate it for that. That's why I do like it. And one that I do like that is actually still relatively cheap is this Phoenix Resurrection series. There's that #4 cover too, which is fantastic with all the feathers. I forget who did that one. Sing, I think different artist did that. But this #5 is also a fun one with Jean looking in the mirror. Just a little, little fun, little different type of cover, not your normal superhero action, sort of fare. So I kind of dig this 1 in 25, and this one is not that bad. There haven't been any copies sold within the last couple of months on this, but if you go on the market and look, you can get this ratio and under, really. I mean, $30, $20, $12.75. And this is again 1 in 25, so half ratio to ratio is not too bad for this book. I kind of like it. I don't know. I just kind of dig it. It's different. There's no real spec in this book beyond the cover. I mean, this miniseries ended a while ago, and it didn't really have long-lasting repercussions, I don't think. But it is what it is. It's just a cool cover, and if you can find it for cheap, I would pick it up. But that all said, she does have some other ones that are kind of sneaky expensive that you wouldn't have. I don't think you would think that, one, you might not know was her work. Two, might not even know this book exists. And three, didn't know that it could sell that well. And here's a 1 in 25 for International Iron Man. This series lasted, like 8 issues or something? Maybe, I don't even if it made it to 10. But issue 2, we have this, Tony Stark there with the mask. It's almost like a masquerade. He's got a cape. It's pretty cool cover. I kind of like it. This is also a 1 in 25. No copies have sold recently, but there is one out there on the market, and it's looking for $80, which for 1 in 25 is not a bad price. Not a bad price. I mean, that's a pretty good, price bump for something like this. So this thing may not be that easy to find, because, like I said, there's not that many out there, not a lot selling. So it is what it is. This could be a fun one if you can find it. It may be worth your time. If you can find this thing for ratio or lower, I'd probably pick it up, considering the lack of copies out there. And I kind of like the cover personally, but that's personal choice. Outside of that, she's done a number of other variants. Marvel has done, besides the incentive variants, they've done a lot of the theme months. You got the Women of Power, the Women of Marvel. You got the Doctor Stranges, the Young Avengers, all those different like theme months, and they usually have a bunch of artists working on these things. And a lot of times, 1 or 2 covers may pop out of runs like that, and then everybody else forgets about everything. And then sometimes books like this get overlooked, and some artists do have some great covers that just people don't remember. Here, case in point, Ultimate End #4 was a Secret Wars cover there that she had done, where Doctor Strange featured pretty prominently. The Women of Power, which I just mentioned, that Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, I think I've covered that on Run for Covers. And then this Jessica Jones for #2. That is just another really cool cover. I think that might have been a manga cover for manga. I don't know what that was for. It might just be a regular variant, but this was not an incentive variant. But I do really like that Jessica Jones on issue 2 as well. But these things are all relatively affordable. These are like cover to double cover, like at most. So these are not heavy investment type books. These are things you might be able to find out there. As you can see, the Doctor Strange book here sold for $6 back in May, but that's the only sale I could find. And then copies available from anywhere from $2 to $20. So yes, there could be some higher asks out there, but there are plenty of copies, for $2, $4. Yeah, you might be able to find this at a shop for cover, double cover maybe. not too bad. So just something to look into. It's like I said, this is pretty cool art. I dig it. And then even outside of that, there are some like this that were the ones that everybody kind of gravitated towards, and people started throwing cash that way at some of these covers. And one of those is this Doctor Strange 384. This is a Young Avengers variant, so it's got the Young Avengers team, and I believe this is the first. This is like first Void symbiote or something. It's a first crazy Marvel first appearance of some kind, so it got a lot of heat because of that. But I do like it for this cover work as well. So if it weren't for that first appearance, this one might be a little more affordable. But right now, this thing's a little pricey. One sold for $50 back in June for this particular cover. So if you find it in a box, know that you can get something for it because of this first Void symbiote. But I would want to get it just for the cover because, like I said, I dig this cover. And then copies out there right now are looking from anywhere from like $60 to $65. Pretty consistent, like asking prices. You can see there's three examples, all asking basically the same kind of price. So it is what it is. She's also done some B covers as well, not just Marvel. She's not a Marvel only artist. She's done some work over on DC as well. Actually, a lot of work at DC, but plenty of those B covers. Because that's how DC has rolled for a while. They had an A and a B cover. They didn't do incentives. Now they're doing incentives just like Marvel. But for a while there was just A and B covers, and she did quite a few of these pretty cool B covers. I like this stuff, especially the limited trade dress stuff that really lets the art shine through. That Lois in the middle, I love the kind of like the reflection in the shadow, and then that Nightwing's pretty cool with the city backdrop. And then the stark white background that she did on the Flash, and I think she might have done a couple with this kind of vibe with the white cover. Is pretty cool. And the one that I'm going to spotlight is another one with that white background, which is that Wonder Woman, which I remember when this came out, and I remember I got to get this one. Like, once I saw it, I was like, I got to put this one on my pull list, even if I'm not getting Wonder Woman, because this is just a really, really cool cover. And this is Wonder Woman 63. This is the B cover. Once again, it's just a B cover. It's not an incentive. It's something that's readily available. If you can find it, see if you can go find it out in the shop, because this is just a fantastic looking cover. And it does all right, actually, if you can find one, especially if you can find one for cheap. I mean, it's only like I said, double cover at best, $7, for the most part. And then some of the asking prices might be like $5 to $10, so it's not a ton of money. It maybe cost you a little bit of a premium, but I just think it's a good book just to have, just for the cover art alone, because I think it's a great cover. But that's just me. And then at the start, just to kind of wrap us up here on our artist retrospective, at the start, I mentioned she did the Afro run. So here are just some of the covers. Issue 1, there's issue 4, then we got issue 6 as examples. Like I said, I believe she did all but 2 of the first dozen or so Dr. Afro covers. So any of those will do. And you can see a lot of the prices on this Afro run are creeping up. It's not just issue 1. It's pretty much any of these early issues have been doing all right. As you can see, issue 3, which I think is the first appearance of somebody, Magna Tolva. Yeah, that's best offer on $16, but copies selling $10. And then you see there at the bottom, that's a lot of 1 through 6 for $65. So yeah, I mean, individual copies are selling anywhere from like $10 to $15 in a lot of cases for any of the issues. So, and it's not just for covers. It's not because of the cover artist, but it's more for Afro. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy the cover art as well. And I do in this case. And the available copies here, you can see there are copies out there for like cover price for $4. That's an issue 2 there in the middle. And then you got random lots 1 through 3 asking $40, and then issue 1 asking $25. 9/8 of issue 1 are asking pretty steep prices as well. So if you could find high grade and all that stuff, sure, get it graded and maybe you can get yourself a nicer return. But even without that, I would keep an eye out for that early Afro run, not just for Afro, but also for these covers as well. And finally, to wrap us up, we are going to move on with the last bit that I have for our artist retrospective, and that is the cover run that she did here on Batgirl and the Birds of Prey. I think she did some like 20 some plus issues. A lot of these covers, and I think a lot of them were the B covers. Again, through Rebirth. DC was doing the A and B covers, and I think she did a lot of these B covers, and you could see that like kind of anime manga style there. It's just really cool. I dig it. I like the art, a lot of motion there, a lot of action, a lot of different perspectives. You're getting different size characters and things. I dig it. So this is some examples of 1, 3, and I think 7. And you could probably find a lot of these in dollar bins, honestly. or cover price or less. So we're not giving you prices on these because these are like cover price or less on all these books, really. And then you can see that number 9 is fantastic. And then you get your 17, 18. And I believe her run kind of ended somewhere around that 23 kind of range, somewhere in there, and somewhere in the 20s. So I think she probably did like 20 issues or so of these B covers. She didn't do every B cover through the run, but she did most throughout that first chunk of the Batgirl and the Birds of Prey run. But anyway, check these out. If you find them, I just think they're great. It's great art. So if you can find these things for cheap, especially these ones, like I'm telling you, these are probably in dollar bins. I'd consider picking them up if you stumble across them because they're just great art. And with that, that will complete our artist retrospective there on. Gonna butcher her name again. So I'm not even gonna bother. Not gonna bother butchering her name. We're just gonna move on to our next segment, which is variants. I know everybody loves variants. I love variants as well, which is why I have a whole segment, usually featured on hidden gems associated with it. And this week's variants are going to be kind of I'm going to do one note for the variants here. I'm just going to kind of focus in on one thing. Following up on some of the Godzilla books we've talked about before, there are 1 in 10s. So there are some Godzilla 1 in 10s out there that you might just want to keep an eye out for because they could just be mixed in with regular books. They could just be out there just for nothing. And they're just kind of fun and sometimes tough to find little treasures, these little 1 in 10s. Because again, 1 in 10 is a low enough incentive that a lot of stores would have qualified without even knowing it. And these books are just out there mixed in and intermingled with the regulars, not always put aside or priced up as anything more than more than a regular cover. And here's a case. This is Eric Powell cover on Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters #1, 1 in 10. Pretty cool cover. No copies have sold recently on this thing, and it's not an expensive one. Copies out there could be as cheap as like $8 or as high as $20. But realistically, you can even go to places like My Comic Shop, I think, has copies of this available for like ratio for like $10 if you were that interested in it. So again, it's a 1 in 10. Issue 1 for a Godzilla series. I think this is the first Godzilla series for IDW, but I'm not 100% if this was the first one. I think it was because I think this came first, and then I think the next run of Godzilla, which is Godzilla, came after in 2012 or 2013. I can't remember all the dates. Sorry, it all gets kind of intermixed in my head here, but that all said, other volumes. IDW had Godzilla for a little while, so this Monsters and Protectors run here. You have another 1 in 10 example. These twins, they showed up. This is featuring characters, not even just the monsters. Like, yes, this is a Mothra cover, but it's really featuring these twins, which I believe showed up in the movies already, played by the girl from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Zhang Ziyi. Again, butchering names all over the place today. But this one is another one. It's a 1 in 10. You can find it out there. Copy selling for like $8 to $20. So it's under ratio to up to like double ratio. But if you find it for cheap, that's what I'm talking about. Asking price is 15 to 20. Who knows what you might find at your shop? You might, like I said, find this for cover price or even less. You could, who knows? I don't know what your shop carries if you can find them. Again, Godzilla books aren't that easy to find because they didn't print tons and tons of them. All I'm saying is that the incentive variants are probably just mixed in with the rest. So if you find any IDW Godzilla books, just flip through them and look for that RI on the cover because that's an easy way to tell that you have an incentive. I'll give IDW one thing. They were not shy about telling you if this was an incentive variant. You don't have to mess around with Marvel and try to figure out what a book is. This is an retailer incentive. That's what that stands for. If it says RE, that's a retailer exclusive. So that means it was a store variant. So a store paid for that one to have it, for themselves. But this RI is retailer incentive. So all you had to do is qualify. And in a lot of cases for IDW, it was 1 in 10s for most of their books. Some might have higher 1 in 25s and whatnot, but 1 in 10s was like the big thing for IDW. And speaking of which, we are not done with our Godzilla 1 in 10s. I got another random example for you. Just a cover I kind of like. This is number 16 or 12. It's so blurry. I couldn't get a good image on this one. But this, you got King Ghidorah there. None sold, none available. Some of these are going to be really, really tough to find. This was the single named Godzilla run. I think it was issue 12, actually, of that run. But it's just a crapshoot if you can find them. And again, it's going to say RI as well on this, but it's going to be much, much harder to see. It's tinier print because this is an older issue. But again, a lot of these covers feature some of these classic monsters. It looks like that's a Mecha Ghidorah, I guess. Godzilla, Rulers of the Earth, yet another title that ran probably about a dozen issues. This is another 1 in 10, and you can see once again here up in the top. This is issue 16, and I don't know if I'm zoomed in close enough, but RI here for retailer incentive. So that's how you'll be able to tell just by looking at the cover on an IDW. Once again, no copies sold on this because some of these are really tough. Like, again, not a lot of copies printed, so they're out there, but not many are out there. And here, asking price on the one I could find, almost $90 for this 1 in 10. So these could get expensive. These could get expensive. So again, once again, if you can luck into them, maybe you find yourself a little treasure. So that's kind of the point of why I'm putting this out there for you. So in case you stumble into these, you know what you're looking at, and you know you might have found something that might be worthwhile. And with that, that's our little variant segment. I know I kind of put everything around Godzilla this week, but I'll do some different stuff. You know how I do. I'm going to mix it up. And we're going to start mixing it up right here when we get to later printings. We're going to shift off of Godzilla and do something completely different. Here with later prints. Another little niche subset of collecting these days is people like collecting these second prints, third prints, fourth prints, God knows, eighth prints, whatever latest print might be, because they're rare, different covers, different cover art. That I'm all on board with. If you can get it for a decent price and cheap enough, I'm all on board for collecting this. What I have a problem with second prints and later printings is when we start talking about incentives for them, which I'm not a fan of, and also calling them first appearances, because yes, it is a first appearance if the character first appeared in it, but you got to consider a fourth print is still a reprint, things like that. But that all said, the books I want to talk about this week are Action Comics #1. This is Jim Lee. I'm a Jim Lee fan, as I've mentioned many times before. I also mentioned I don't like sketch covers usually, but I make an exception for Jim Lee, and this is a Jim Lee sketch that I would be happy to have because it's Jim Lee. This is #1. This is the 4th printing for Action Comics #1, and this book can do all right if you can find this one. Graded copy is the only copy I can find sold. Only $70. I mean, that's not a ton, but that's still a decent amount when you consider the grading fees only maybe about 30. So to get $40 for this book, really, that's not too bad for a 9.8. And asking prices are anywhere from as cheap as $6 up to like $20, $35. So a lot of different price ranges on this one. This is a 4th print, as I noted, sketch cover. Easy to get dirty and damaged because of that white cover, but I think it's a little bit glossy, so it might hold up better than you think. So as long as you don't get it all crunched and ticked up, you might do all right as far as condition goes, if you can find it. So that's my first one. Then I got 2 more books from the same run to cover, some second prints, and we're going to look at X-Force, Sex and Violence. This was a 3-issue mini that Delato did, and art was fantastic. Fantastic little run. If you can find all 3, even the regular issues are worth picking up. They also have value as well if you can find them at a good price. Issues 1, 2, and 3. But there are second prints for issues 1 and issue 2. And this is the second printing for issue 1. So you got Domino, Wolverine, just going to town right there on the cover. So, I mean, it's right there in the title, so you shouldn't be too surprised. But here you can see a lot of 3. All 3 issues sold. I believe it was the second in this lot. I think it's second print and then first print for 2 and first print for issue 3 for only $30. It's not too bad for the 3-issue set on this one. When you consider the asking prices for issue 1, second printing alone, it's $60 raw or $300 in a 9.8. So getting a lot that had this book in it for $30 was probably a decent deal when you consider everything else. $60, $300 for a 9.8. And that's issue 1. This is the second printing. And then issue 2, and it's also, Delato cover. Delato on the originals, Delato on the second printings. Like this one. This is second printing for issue 2. Bloody Wolverine. Pretty cool. I dig it. He's coming right at you. Almost looks like vampire style, like with the fangs and the darkness, but I like it. This one's a little pricey too. Copies have sold. Best offers on like $50. Best offer on a 9.8 on $300. So somewhere under that. I didn't bother digging in to get the finalized prices on these because I just didn't feel like it was necessary. You get the idea. You get in the ballpark idea that it's best offers on $50. So you can kind of guess what they might have paid for these, especially when you factor in the asking price on this book alone here is, well, there's only one out there right now, and they want 160. So $40 to $50 raw is what paid copies have gone for, and then the one out there right now is asking 160. If you can find this book, you might be able to make yourself a few bucks. That's all the point I'm trying to make. I'm not telling anybody to go spend $100, $50 on this book either. I'm saying if you could find it, and if you could find it for a decent price, $5, $10 maybe, cover price or less, however kind of deal, steal, whatever you find at a shop, tucked away in a box. Hopefully, it's priced where this will make you a nice little profit if you're looking to flip it, or you just get a nice little book for cheap for your own collection. But that's what we have for second printings. And we're going to move on to, I still got 2 more segments for you. So if this stuff didn't interest you, hopefully I got something for you next. Maybe video games is what you're waiting for. Video game comic books might satisfy your appetite for new content. So what video game books can we talk about this week? I mean, we've done some oddball things in the past with a lot of Sonics and some Mega Mans. But let's kind of shift gears to Metal Gear. Metal Gear Solid. Again, popular game. This has a 12-issue series, Ashley Wood art here. So it's very stylized covers, as you can see, because that's how Ashley Wood's style is. It's very stylized, almost painterly and exaggerated, kind of like cover art. And any of these issues are probably worth grabbing if they are cheap enough. Just kind of give you ballpark. I mean, yes, issue 1 is going to be first Solid Snake, and going to command a little bit of a premium. But as you can see here, issue 1 selling for like $21.50. That issue 8 was another example. Look, sold for $15, and then issue 12 can sell for $23. So I mean, these things, it doesn't just have to be issue 1. A lot of these are $15 to $20 on their own. So just keep that in mind if you find any Metal Gear Solid books out there. Same thing with the asking prices. You can see here, issue 1 asking $35. There's a random issue 5 asking $15. The whole run, 12 issues, asking $250, and that's not the only one out there. That's just one example of a set that's asking for like $250. So not a cheap set. So if you can find it for cheap, you might have done well. This was the first volume. This was the first run. And this was also an IDW series. And I think there's other variants in here as well, like mixed in. There's some, I think there's a graham cracker variant. I think there might even be an incentive for a book or 2. But there are variants that I think B covers mixed throughout this run. So just keep that in mind as well when you're digging, in case your copy doesn't look like the one I'm showing you. And then moving on, that's the first volume of it. And then there was a follow-up series comic, Metal Gear Sons of Liberty. Here, once again, kind of same story as the first series. Mostly Ashley Wood art. That center issue, I think that's Alex Garner, who was, I think, writing, but he did that first cover there on that middle one. And then I think Ashley Wood did most of the stuff following that. But you can see here, again, just as examples, copies can sell for cheap here, $3.80 up to $20. It's just kind of random crapshoot, really, as far as some of these go. And asking prices is kind of the same story. $13 to $25 for individual issues. The whole set. This one has 13 because there's a 0 issue. So 13 issues in this set. Somebody's looking for $350. There weren't a lot of sets for this one out there. I think that might have been the only full run that I could find. But still, a pretty steep price if you for a whole set of 13 books. So if you can find them all, good luck. Good luck. And that'll take us through our video game segment. That's it. Just a little taste. And then I got one more little segment for you as we're nearing half an hour. And I think that's probably long enough for most of you to be looking at comic books. So we'll wrap it up right after we get through my nostalgia pick for this week. And my nostalgia pick for this week, I think it's come up before. I think my buddy Darth Lopez had been asking for it. I've talked about this series before as part of pickups, like dollar bin finds and things like that, because I've found these books plenty of times in dollar bins. And newsstands are also at a premium. So if you can find a nice, clean newsstand, make sure you do that as well. And the series I'm talking about is Street Sharks. Yes, Street Sharks. I don't know if you all remember these. I didn't really have the toys for these ones. I remember them, but I think it was a little more after my time. I think this was more that turtle time, and that was a little bit when I'm getting at was getting out of toys. As far as like playing like with, I still collected toys because I'm a geek, so I still collected toys. But Street Sharks kind of came, I think, right around the Turtles there, and like that kind of like late 80s, early 90s kind of time. So they weren't really my toys, but there were a bunch of them. Just examples here. Again, you can see these figures. Pretty cool. A lot of different shark themed like characters. And yes, you see the turtle inspiration when you look at these. But what you may not know is that who was trying to sell you all these Street Sharks way back in the day? I think it was the early 90s. So I think the little clip said something about 94. But who might have been selling these to you? Why, it was a young Mr. Vin Diesel trying to sell you some Street Sharks. Yep, there he was with his little deep voice, even when he was young and he had hair. Look, he's got hair. Vin Diesel was trying to sell you some Street Sharks, so maybe you convince somebody to go buy them. But we have two minis to talk about for Street Sharks. Here's the first one, I believe came out in like 96, I want to say. Again, 3 issues. Archie printed these, so you might be able to find these mixed in with Archie books, kids books, things like that. If you can find them, you can do all right. I love digging through like the kids book type stuff because there's so much fun little treasures hidden away in there. And this run, you can see here, copies selling anywhere like $10 an issue. Sets can go for like $55. Those are sold prices. Asking prices on this, however, they could be like $10 to $20 individually. Again, there's only 3 issues. Issue 1 might command a little bit of more of a premium, but newsstand as well. If you can find a newsstand, might get you a little bit extra. So keep that in mind as well. This came out in 96. Yeah, it looks like 1996 is the year everybody else listed these as. And that's what you can get for that first volume. I don't find these ones as often. I usually find this second series, and I found it a few times, and that's this Street Sharks run. Also, Archie Adventure Series, 3-issue run here. I found newsstands on these ones as well. Issues 1, 2, and 3. Again, story's kind of the same, but the prices seem to be a little bit up on this one, where you can see $20 for issue 1, and just example, issue 1 through 3, best offer on $70 for the whole set. So it's probably still in that $50 plus kind of range, but it's still very, very similar. And this, I want specifically, these are newsstand examples of what some of the asking prices can be for newsstands. So that's why I put this in here specifically for this one. As you can see, $35 for issue 1, and then issue 2 newsstand, somebody's looking for $135. I mean, yes, condition sensitive. The nicer the condition, the more you can possibly get for a book, because getting high grade newsstands for kids books is really, really tough. So keep that in mind as well when you're out there shopping, in case you come across any Street Sharks books. And with that, we've come to the end of the line on what I have for you this week. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you found this information helpful, entertaining, interesting. Maybe I gave you some more books to look for. Just looking to share some of the stuff that I find interesting with the rest of you guys out there in the comic community. So hopefully you still appreciate that. And as I mentioned, tomorrow on Chasing Ghosts, we'll be having the giveaway announcement. So make sure you check out the show tomorrow, so you know how to get yourself some free books. Members, you don't have to worry. You're already included in the giveaway. So you'll be on the wheel when we run it next Tuesday. So with that all said, hopefully you enjoyed that list. Let me know if you got any recommendations of stuff you'd like to see me cover on this show. I am always open to recommendations. You have no idea how many things I source from you guys. You guys sharing stuff on IG with me. I love seeing it. It gives me ideas. It gets me down rabbit holes that I love going down. I love researching this stuff for myself and then sharing what I find with the rest of you. So once again, thank you for coming along that ride with me, and I will see you guys later with some more content. All right.